why don't we have any leaders anymore which are doing this top-down change? Is there like a shift that has happened?
I can't believe that Uparwala has started making some defective models, or he's not sending the models that needed to be sent. Maybe all those, maybe that Gandhi, that Ambedkar, that Martin Luther King, that Nelson Mandela, they are still somewhere around there. Maybe, it's probably either they are looking after cats and dogs. The one thing that he does not have is a moral bone in his body. And this I discovered very soon when I joined Aam Aadmi Party, and it horrified me. At no stage would Arvind allow this thought to cross his mind that this is wrong, that something is wrong. When a girl says, "Mummy, झाड़ू मैं क्यों लगाऊं? ये भी तो खड़ा है ना अपने भाई की तरफ." Like my sister said when I was young, इसके हाथ टूटे हुए, क्या इससे करवा लो? Of course, it hurt me enormously then. But what she was doing was that she was changing this into this.
Correct.
We have to change. And one of the things we have to change is this thing of, oh, you are an idealist. Just tell me, why is it that we use this expression only in this context? Do we say a mother who's looking after her child, she is an idealist mother? We don't say that. She's a normal mother.
Fair.
When I first met Rahul, came back home, had a longish chat, and my wife asked me, "So how would you rate him?" I said, well, among the top quarter of the students that I've taught. I mean, he probably knows more about religion and Hindu religion than Amit Shah and Modi put together. He's actually most seriously concerned about religion in ways that people don't realize he is. So he is, in that sense, a spiritual, moral person trying to fit himself into the role. Good people entering politics is not only known, but that used to be the norm. And I'm not speaking of some 1,000 years ago or something. This was just still recently. It is that we have created conditions in which only the dirty and the compromised can enter the room. Everyone else has to wait outside the room.
Correct.
So, in my election, I decided that I would not pay anything to the media, to the local media.
Politics is dirty.
Nah, Meghnad, it's not so simple.
I think I should listen to Mr. Yogendra Yadav, who is sitting with me here. Yogendra Yadav is an Indian activist. He is a psephologist and he's a politician. He has made some forays of himself into the political field. Currently, you must be seeing him on YouTube mostly all the time.
Not television anymore.
Not television anymore. And he writes a lot, and you must have heard him. And he gives a lot of very interesting ideas on the state of our democracy, where we are going, and also primarily elections that are going on. So thank you so much for doing this, Mr. Yadav.
Thank you.
And I'll call you Yogendra if that's okay.
Perfect.
Tell me something. What do you think about politics? Let's just define this term first.
शुभ को सच में बदलने का कर्म जो है वो राजनीति है. शुभ, whatever is desirable. Poets talk about it, philosophers talk about it, but they think it's distant. Someone who says, okay, that shubh, that nice, that desirable thing shouldn't be out there hanging in someone's dream. I'll bring it down here. वो स्वर्ग को उतार ला जमीन पर. That resolve, that activity is politics in our times. This need not be all the time. Politics happens to be the central activity around which at least our present is configured. आज से 500 साल पहले क्या पॉलिटिक्स इतनी इम्पॉर्टेंट थी? Probably not. What was the most happening sight 500 years ago? Maybe Bhakti movement. So if you and I were born 500 years ago, I think we may have been some chelas or one of the sons moving around. About 150 years ago, I think social reform was that most happening side. For the last 100 years, and possibly for the next 100, next 50, I don't know, politics is that happening site. It's the central site. It is that watering hole in the jungle where everyone has to come because it configures society. And if an activity is so central that it configures society, then everyone has to come to it. बड़े से बड़े गुंडे इसी में आएंगे, इसीलिए बड़े से बड़े साधु को भी इसमें आना पड़ेगा. If Gandhi was born 500 years ago, Gandhi wouldn't have been in politics. He would have been one of the saints that we know about. 150 years ago, he may have been one of the social reformers. But because he was born in this age, politics brought him there. So I call politics the Yuga Dharma. It is the dharma of the yug that we happen to be living in. And there's no way we can turn our back to it. That's the point about a yug dharma. You can't turn your back to it. It's not an optional activity.
Right.
Kar lenge, nahi kar lenge, chalo koi aur kar lega. You can do that about cricket. You can possibly do that about many other things which are useful, important. But politics is dharma. That is to say, it's your duty. It's your virtue. It's something you are drawn to. You cannot escape it.
But I understand where you're coming from. You're looking at it a very broad thing. But abhi normal लोगों के दिमाग में, like normal people think that politics is just electoral politics, which is fighting an election and winning, particularly winning. How do you combine these two ideas?
For ordinary people, politics is power politics.
Power politics.
So
Okay.
election के बाहर भी, अरे यार क्रिकेट टीम में तुम पॉलिटिक्स क्यों ला रहे हो?
Right.
अरे यार तुमने देखो ऑफिस में पॉलिटिक्स शुरू कर दिया. So our sense is that any power play, usually of the negative kind, is what politics is about. Now, there is one element of truth in it, because politics is about power. Power is not a dirty word. You need power. You need power to drive your vehicles. We need power for this interview to happen here. We need power in multiple ways. Power can be used positively. Power can be used negatively. And it is true that what people get to see is very often the negative side of politics. Partly because most people understand politics only through newspaper, television headlines. So if you ask people, who is a politician that you know, they would give name of one of these top politicians. And I would say, is there someone you actually know personally? Then they would say, हाँ वो मेरे एक चाचा जी हुआ करते थे, वो ना कम्युनिस्ट हुआ करते थे, या वो आरएसएस हुआ करते थे, बड़ा ईमानदार आदमी थे, वो कहीं कुछ गए नहीं, बड़ा अच्छा काम किया. I said, but that's also a political worker. Why don't you think that is a politics? Arey nahi, he was not successful. So I think so the sense of politics being a power, being involved with power, is correct. क्योंकि शुभ को सच में बदलने के लिए आपको पावर चाहिए. You can't do it without power. So politics is about reconfiguring power. जो ये यूं खड़ा है या जो यूं है, उसको यूं करना is politics.
Correct.
When a girl says, ये मम्मी झाड़ू मैं क्यों लगाऊं, ये भी तो खड़ा है ना अपने भाई की तरफ. Like my sister said when I was young, इसके हाथ टूटे हुए हैं, क्या इससे करवा लो. Of course it hurt me enormously then, but what she was doing was that she was changing this into this.
Correct.
She was just changing power equation. For me, that is politics. This may look odd, but there are 100 ways of doing politics. The world that we live in is configured in such weird ways. Power equations make such abnormal things look normal. Any way of setting it right is politics of the good kind. Any way to make it worse is politics of the worst kind.
So in a way, concentration of power is bad, but then if you distribute that power to the powerless through politics, that is the way to go.
Yeah. Using power to for the right cause.
Correct.
Is politics. The right cause could be, for me, the right cause is a just world order. It's a situation where People can lead the lives they want to lead. People have control over lives they lead. No one else sitting 1,000 kilometers away controls their life. But politics is involved in any such activity. And mind you, all of us do politics. Those who sit quietly at home and are watching television and are watching IPL or whatever, they're also engaged in politics. Inaction is also action.
Right.
So we're all involved in politics of one kind or the other, the more passive kind or the more active kind, the more conscious kind or the more unconscious kind. When we body shame people, we are doing politics because we are actually changing power. We are contributing to a power equation which is already tilted. We are making it worse. So for me, all such play of power is politics. One segment of that happens to be politics in the most concentrated form, which is election, state power, government, policies, and so on. And then of course one must one must intervene in this most concentrated form of politics. But let us not forget that politics is everywhere. If you go to Northeast and you get Matar Paneer, well, there is some politics here. Why is this Matar Paneer being offered to you in the Northeast of India? Why is it that there is a certain kind of Mughlai Punjabi cuisine is taking over the entire country? Not because it's tasty, because of other reasons. So power gets reflected in multiple ways. When the Chief Secretary of Kerala 2 months ago said, she was asked questions about her skin color, and she retorted back.
Yes.
I thought this was politics in the most beautiful sense of the term. That dark is beautiful, dark is normal. So much of politics in our world is about what is normal. And some people have captured this normalcy for themselves. Challenging that is politics.
Two things I want to sort of elaborate on. So, if I say that politics can be used to gain control of your own life, is that a correct way to put it? Because honestly, when you say that I'm a person who is watching TV, passively engaging in politics, as you said, in order to become active, doesn't that mean that I'm taking control of my own choices, my life, what I believe in? Because, I would just go back to the feminist movement and what it says, the personal is political, right? Women's rights, which is the right to abortion and the right to control over your own body, that is a political issue, which also becomes a societal issue. So, do you see that sort of like regaining control? Is politics about regaining control?
That's definitely one critical element of it. Regaining control, especially for those who've lost it.
Yes.
Or those who've been made to lose it.
Correct.
For them to regain it, for an Adivasi in Gadchiroli to say, why should policies that concern me be formulated in Mumbai,
Yes.
which is 1,400 kilometers away from where I live? Why can't I decide for my village? That's beautiful politics. So there are multiple ways of in which politics impacts us. There are multiple ways in which we can enter politics. Like my sister when she said, "Ye jhadu kyun nahi laga sakta?" She did not think she was doing politics. But today when I look back, that's politics. When someone splashes the image of a dark girl as a beautiful person, that's politics in the best sense of the term. When someone talks about food and food that we have considered very low-grade rural food and says this is the best food I've had, that's politics. So it's about power equations in multiple ways, but then you could say these are secondary arenas.
Correct.
The principal arena is state power, controlling state power and using it for purposes which we want to, which are the desirable purposes, is the principal political arena. And then because this arena is so critical today for us, I don't think it's that critical in Europe today. I think that society is run mostly by corporations, not by their political leaders are a bit of, they're showcases. They're showcased there. They're not but in our society, politics still happens to be the critical arena. This state government, power, elections, and so on. This arena is still so critical, still so central, that one must intervene this. So that's the dharma. Your dharma is to go and intervene here, because that is where everything is being controlled from.
Right. And in your experience, like throughout your career, etc., you must have seen various periods of politics in this country in a larger meta way. Have you seen examples of where, like, I would use the term good people, like, largely, but I think you know what I mean, have entered politics and actually gained power and then used it to benefit other people?
Good people entering politics is not only known, but that used to be the norm. And I'm not speaking of some 1,000 years ago or something. This was just still recently. What was our freedom struggle? Our freedom struggle was about people who wanted some future for this country, entering into public life, entering into politics. Freedom movement was a political movement. So there was that. I can tell you about my own life. I came from a very small town of Rajasthan, Ganganagar. My family was not so political in the sense that, yes, politics was discussed, but there was no tradition of active engagement in politics. My father would speak about things. He was so there was enormous exposure to politics, but no to actually doing it. And in my college, my impression was that these boys who do politics, these are the ones जिसके पास कोई काम करने को है नहीं, सिर्फ जाके हंगामा करना है. So I sort of kept away. Then I came to JNU. And I saw a very, very different face of politics in the university and outside the university. In the university, because, and this is 1981-83 when I was in JNU, some of the best students were involved in politics. If you were good at studies, why were you not in politics?
When you say they were involved in politics, what is it that they do exactly?
There were students' organizations, multiple students' organizations. And in those days in JNU, you began from the extreme left and you came to the kind of center.
Okay.
There was nothing to the right of the center in JNU those days. In fact, Nirmala Sitharaman was there at that point.
Yes.
She was in the centrist party at that point, because no one dared to be rightist at those days. And we were in the Democratic Socialist organization. But irrespective of where I was involved or whatever, if you were a thinking person, then you thought about politics, you participated in one of the students' organizations. If you did not participate in the students' organization, you at least participated in political debates. So in those days, after dinner, every day, the mess hall would be cleared up. And that would be an occasion, and there were many hostels. So that would be where, someone or the other would come at 9:30 in the evening, a political debate or some lecture or some discussion would begin. That was the campus culture. Everyone did that.
Wow.
Yeah. So and then the debate could go on till 1:30 in the morning, till 2 in the morning, or whatever. Hundreds of people. So someone.
And these are debates on national issues.
Yeah. These are not about mess food, and these are about
yeah.
what's happening in Vietnam or what's happening in the national policy, what Mrs. Gandhi was doing, what was correct, what was so on all these issues. And it's not just peculiarity of JNU. This is how it should be. After all, these are your future citizens.
Correct.
So you're basically getting your future citizens involved in thinking about what is right and wrong. Everyone was free. Everyone could bring in. Unfortunately, that whole tradition has been brought to an end. by the current administration and by current VCs and so on. But, what a lovely culture it was where every evening you sit down and talk about the country, which
You
is
also
what the
feel very
universities are supposed to
involved.
do.
You feel very involved. If you do something like this, even if, when I say what do they do, even if you're attending these debates and you're listening to these people who personally argue one side or the other, I feel like it gives you this feeling of involvement as if you have a say somehow.
Exactly. You feel like an active citizen.
Active
you
citizen.
may not belong to any party. I'm sure only about 15 or 20% belong to any organization. The rest did not. But they took positions.
Right.
They said what is right and what is wrong. It is only through these conversations that a citizen begins to make up her mind about where she is, what she wants to do, and so on. So that was one part of my exposure. The other part was that because of my connection with this socialist organization called Samta Yuvajan Sabha, which was connected to Samata Sangathan, a political organization, I got to meet a large number of people. And this was just a sheer coincidence, one of the best things that could have happened to me as a young person. I met Kishan Patnaik. Kishan Patnaik was a member of parliament when he was just 30-year-old. And now imagine what members of parliament look like if they are just 30-year-old, you are a member of parliament. But this Kishan Patnaik who I met, he must have been 50 plus by then, who had no house of his own, who simply had one attache case. He would walk around and we would have to wonder about where to get money for him to travel next time, wherever he wanted to travel. I met Sachidanand Sinha, a writer who was the son of a minister in Bihar, but who went and worked as a railway coolie. Coolie ने मतलब वो क्या बोलते हैं रेलवे में वो जो पुराने जमाने के रेल इंजन में होते थे ना जो कोयला डालते थे रेलवे के
Okay.
So he worked as that in order to create a labor union.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then turned into a writer, has written dozens of books. He's about 95-year-old. And he used to stay in a one-room place in Saket. He had a stove, would cook khichdi every day, would go to the library in the morning, come back, and write these dozens of books. He's one of the most extraordinary thinkers of India, which not many people know because he's written mostly in Hindi. I met him. I met Ashok Saxena, one of the finest Hindi writers, who spent most of his energies in getting others to write, not in writing himself. Son of a famous Marwadi in Marwadi family of Calcutta, who used to stay in Lord Sinha Road, who chose to stay in servant quarter of his own house. And just spent all his life ensuring that others become big writers and not himself.
Interesting.
Ashok Saxena. I met Sunil. Sunil, who was 3-4 years senior to me and was in economics, had marvelous grades, bettered or equaled only by Abhijit Banerjee later.
Okay.
Who then decided to go to a village in Madhya Pradesh, to an Adivasi village in Madhya Pradesh, to live amongst, live with, live as them. Everyone said 6 महीने में वापस आ जाएगा क्योंकि वो स्टैनफोर्ड में भी जा सकता था. With those kinds of grades, he could have gone anywhere in the world. For next 30 years, he stayed in that village in district Hoshangabad. So and all of them were in politics. So if you ask me the 10 finest people I've known in my life, probably 7 or 8 of them would be in politics.
Interesting.
So this was the face of politics I saw. All this was around Kishan Patnaik. They were all friends and colleagues of Kishan Patnaik. And unlike what you associate with politics, in Kishanji's presence, you couldn't say a word in his praise. No darbar.
Okay.
Everyone was into doing something constructive. And standards of probity were sky high. As I said, Kishanji, when he passed away at 74, he had, the only way he survived, this ex-member of parliament, the only way he survived because his wife was a music teacher in a school. It's on her salary that they survived.
Right.
You know.
So all these people who you met, very interesting bunch of personalities. Did anyone go into electoral politics here? Like, I mean, of course, some were MPs, you said, but
Kishanji was an MP once. Second time he lost. He also
so
contested.
sorry, just interrupting the Kishanji example. Let's take him as an example. How did he campaign back then, and how did he really enter electoral politics?
When he entered, incidentally, this Kishanji is not the Naxalite Kishanji. People confuse him.
Okay.
The word Kishanji.
Okay.
This is Kishan Patnaik.
Kishan Patnaik.
When he contested, he was actually in jail.
Oh,
Fighting against the royalty in that area of Odisha, which had retained that royal. The remainders of princely rulers and so on. He fought against them. He was in jail. And just before election, he was released. They had one car. This is 1962.
Okay.
They had one car and was doing it on bicycle and so on. In those days, this was possible. It's just that people thought, here is this idealist young man. So he was voted to the parliament. Next time he lost. 1977, Janata Party said, you can contest, but on our ticket. He refused. 1989, Biju Patnaik said, you can contest on our ticket. He refused, and he contested on his own in Samta Sangathan, the organization that he belonged to. Got just 20,000 votes. My friend Sunil, who, as I said, went to live in this village, created this great experiment of the Adivasis being able to reclaim the land, in the sense that the reservoir which was created by displacing them, they formed a cooperative and they turned into a fish workers on the reservoir which was created by displacing them. And that was the great experiment of Tawa Matsya Sangha. He was involved in that. He was in politics. And yes, he contested election, got just 10,000 votes, a parliamentary election. Someone who could summon a 50,000 rally, someone who was seen as a devata, nothing short of that in those areas. If you spoke about Sunilji, even today in Madhya Pradesh, any person who ever knew Sunil, he was in Hoshangabad, Kesla block. Anyone you speak to Sunil, they would say, "Ha, Sunil." That's
what is his full name? Sunil?
His original name in the university was Sunil Gupta, but he would just, after university days, he dropped Gupta.
Oh, it was just mononymous
just
after
Sunil.
that. Sunil.
He would call. And he had that kind of respect across that area for his integrity, for honesty, for his courage, for his sacrifice, and for his sheer brilliance. Rarely do you get those people, So I come from that nursery, and I'm not the best flower of that nursery, the people like Sunil were. दिक्कत ये है कि आजकल लोगों को एहसास ही नहीं होता कि ऐसा कुछ हो भी सकता है. They simply assume that if you are in politics, you must be making money, you must have come here to do this. These people have never heard of Kishan Patnaik. And I'm not claiming that this was the only bunch of 10 decent people in India. I'm sure this was the case among the communists. I know for sure. And I know this was the case among the RSS wallahs as well. A certain probity in politics, a certain sense of integrity, a certain sense of, no, we don't do that. You don't do things simply in order to become ministers and such like. And those from that nursery who left it very soon and went into mainstream politics, Nitish Kumar being one of them. He was one of Kishanji's students.
Okay.
But these people were not looked up to. ये तो खराब हो गए. This is discarded mal.
But those are the people who ended up gaining the power.
Yes.
Why? Where does this disconnect come? Because when you're describing this, honestly, I feel like someone like Sunilji should be someone in parliament, right?
Absolutely.
Why? What happens then? Like exactly?
Because you see, so this is where it comes to politics being dirty. What we have done is that we have created conditions of success in politics of a kind where a Sunil cannot enter parliament. Why? Because the entry barriers, to speak a business and capitalist language, entry barriers are very, very high.
Right.
So take the example of Sunil. He is in Hoshangabad constituency. There are Adivasis in that area. Sunil is very popular, has done this great work which people love. He is a candidate. He goes around, and I went to campaign for him.
Okay.
I was there. So Sunil bhaiya aa gaye. So they would say, of course he's devta. इससे अच्छा इंसान क्या मिल सकता है? But ये जो election है, उसमें इनकी पार्टी का तो कोई chance नहीं है.
Why does this happen? Yeah.
So what we do is that we have set up, so the conditions of entry, conditions of viability for you, and this is something I experienced in my election too. Many people said, "आप बहुत अच्छे आदमी हैं, अगली बार सोचेंगे." Which was a way to say thank you very much. We don't need people of this kind. One is, and then if you and I think about, you and I don't think about politics, think about some other area, toothbrush, toothpaste, and so on. What choice do we make? We make choice from among those things which are visible.
Right.
So you have this brand versus that brand.
Correct.
And so on and so forth. And somewhere in the corner, there would be someone who must be saying, I make the very best of toothpaste. Why don't these idiots even look at me?
Yes.
Because you don't figure on my radar. Now, the trouble with politics is that, number one, the first precondition is that you should figure on the radar of possible choices.
You should be visible, but also
viable,
likely to be seen as someone who is winning.
Exactly. You should be among the viable ones.
Viable.
And the viability threshold is such that it simply throws out 80-90% of all other candidates. So in my election, when the election began, I was seen to be possibly a viable candidate. By the time election campaign proceeded, because we could not put up those hoardings, we were not visible, we could not bribe the local press and media, they would not carry our news, they would carry everything against us, and so on. By the end of it, ये तो रेस में नहीं है.
हाँ.
तो जब आप रेस से बाहर हैं, then of course I'm an idiot to support you. I love you, I admire you. आपकी पूजा भी कर दूंगा, वोट नहीं दूंगा.
Interestingly enough, so I don't know if you know, I contested recently in the Delhi elections. I was the independent candidate there, and my whole point was I called it Project Anda for a reason, because I was one of those people who went in thinking that I'm not a viable candidate. I know this, but I went in thinking, can someone like me just get through the procedure of getting my name on the ballot? Because from my experience, it is an extremely difficult process. And I experienced it firsthand now. Even the filling the form, getting your affidavits together, and these like bureaucratic hurdles that have been put up. Deposit dena and all, so of course there is there. You don't have a symbol to contest if you're an independent candidate. So that is the big thing. Whenever I did 2 rallies. I was like, I want to...
Rallies?
I did rallies, yeah.
And you had more than 5 people to attend?
I had 50 people in each rally.
All right,
so
great.
That was the biggest thing I wanted to test, is that, sure, I have my name on the ballot. Am I able to organize? Because for me, politics is all about organization as well. That is the most difficult thing to do. If someone like Sunil ji can pull in like 50,000 people, that's crazy for me. Like now I know how difficult that is. So I managed to do like a 50 people rally in Malviya Nagar and Green Park, all these places. Whenever I went to people and I spoke to them, my pitch was that I have a YouTube channel and I will be on my YouTube channel telling you what is going on in your constituency and how I'm fixing things and listening to you all the time. So you will have access to me, you can talk to me, you can see what I'm doing. That was my pitch, transparency. Everyone who I spoke to was like, sir, आपकी जैसा ही कैंडिडेट चाहिए हमको तो दिखते नहीं है कैंडिडेट etc. Very polite, very nice. But I heard this as well, which is like, हाँ थोड़ा सा ठीक है, but अगली बार देखेंगे. why does this happen? I'm so confused by this because
No, we should not be confused. See, it's very simple. Number one, the requirement of scale in politics, in our politics, are astronomical. Please remember that a British member of parliament is elected with something like 50, 60,000
yes,
votes.
yes,
Which is what you would need to win a municipal ward
yes,
in Delhi Municipal Committee.
correct.
In our case, one member of parliament is supposed to connect with 2 million plus people, supposed to visit about 1,500 villages and a few dozen towns in order to contest election. So in the course of those 3 weeks, you are supposed to visit 1,500 villages and a few towns. Just imagine. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So one is a requirement of scale. Scale is simply so high that if you that through normal human interaction, it is impossible. So that rules out face-to-face interaction. And not only in the case of member of parliament, even in the case of member of legislative assembly, MLA.
Yes.
Even there, the scale is about 2,500, 250,000 voters,
Yes.
3 lakh voters, and so on, where face-to-face interaction is ruled out. So the elementary condition of democracy that someone knows, अच्छा ये मेघनाथ कैसा आदमी है, साल भर पहले क्या करता था, बंदे पे विश्वास किया जा सकता है कि नहीं है. There's no way. The only way they get to know you is through images.
Correct.
So one is scale. Scale induces this requirement of mass images. You are what your image is. You can be a great person with a very bad image. You can be a thug with a great image. Image is what matters. That's 2. Number 3, those images are created with resources and money.
Yes.
Images do not exist by themselves. They are created. Number 4, there are large groups. A group of, some 2 million people are not just floating 2 million people. There are groups, there are ethnic communities, there are social groups, caste communities, etc. You need to belong, you need to connect.
Right.
So all this has created a condition in our politics where, and we are responsible, we have created such conditions of politics where a Sunil or a Kishan Patnaik cannot survive. They came, they were in politics. Politics was not dirty. They knew they would get a lot of dirt in politics. And in that little nursery that I mentioned, all these things were assumed कि आप politics में आएंगे, आप पे कीचड़ पड़ेगा, आपका कैरियर बर्बाद हो जाएगा, आपको घर में गाली पड़ेगी, फिर भी आपको करना है क्योंकि करना है, आपको नुकसान होगा. That you came in politics and suffered, and that was assumed that of course you would suffer. This was like the freedom struggle.
Right.
You came to public life in order to suffer. You didn't come there to gain anything.
Right.
Everyone understood that. That is so from that we have now created structural conditions. It is not that politics is dirty. It is not that people in political life have become dirtier than before. It is that we have created conditions in which only the dirty and the compromised can enter the room. Everyone else has to wait outside the room.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
in my election, I decided that I would not pay anything to the media, to the local media. They publish all kinds of stupid dirt about me. And the funny thing? At the end of the election, I got notice for misusing media. I got notice from Election Commission for paid news.
What?
And those who had bought that entire media got nothing. I got a notice from Election Commission saying paid news आप use कर रहे थे क्योंकि we had brought out a broadsheet saying Aam Aadmi News, which clearly said this is paid for by Aam Aadmi Party
Yes.
and so on and so forth. They said this is paid news.
How is that paid news?
Of course, finally the notice was cancelled. I said
Yeah.
that, look, just look at, and then in any case, all the expenses on this are reflected in my election expense.
Right.
How is that paid news?
Right.
But just look at the funny thing. I was the only one who got notice for paid news. And
That's
those who
crazy.
had paid the entire media got no such notice. So we have created conditions in which someone who plays it straight and fair will not make it. And then we say, oh my God, politics is dirty. We are responsible for making it dirty. We tell anyone, someone comes to me and say, I want to do politics. Arey beta, koi kaam ka kaam kar lo.
काम का काम कर लो.
We drive every good person away from politics, and then we say politics is dirty.
I wanted to ask you one very simple question. So, independent candidates versus party politics. Because in my view, right now, the way, like I have seen, just observed politics right from 2012 till now. I have worked with multiple regional parties. I have also campaigned for Aam Aadmi Party long time ago, in 2012. I used to believe that the only way to get into politics is to join a party, like get the party ticket, as they call it, right? Which is either of the top three contesting parties. You sort of pitch yourself. I don't know how you do it. Either you have image, as you said, either you have money, or you prove that you belong to like a trader group or some other caste, and whatever you can bring in a base, then you get a ticket. And then you contest, and that is where you have a chance. But that's not true, is it? Because when I contested, the funniest thing I saw that most young people who I spoke to didn't even know that you can contest without a party. Do you think it's actually viable that someone can contest without a party and win?
It should be allowed. Independent candidates must be allowed for democracy to exist. But as I said, in a mass democracy, you see, this can happen at a village level, where you stand up and everyone in your mohalla knows what Meghnad is like. They decide, how does your party label matter to me?
Yeah.
But in large mass democracies, where people are not just electing you, through you, they are also electing the prime minister of the country.
Right.
They are deciding which party to vote for. So in one single vote, so in this one single pressing of a button, what are the decisions they are expected to take? They are expected to decide, number one, who amongst the following persons is someone better suited to look after my local interest. Mera bijli, sadak, pani, meri nali, mera aspatal theek kaun karwayega. Number two, which among the following symbols belongs to a party which I trust better to look after interest of me, myself, and people like me. Number three, which among the faces not seen on this panel, behind the panel, would I want to be the chief minister or the prime minister? I'm making all these three choices. Now, it's possible that on one I want this, on another I want something else, on a third I want this, but I'm being told press one button. If you can't press two. So just think of the nature of the equation. So all I'm trying to say is that we have structured the arena of politics in such a way that we want to, that practically excludes the kind of politics you and I are talking about. And these are structural constraints. If you are an independent candidate, I, as a citizen, know that you are not going to form the government. You can support a government,
Sure.
but you will not form the government.
Right.
So is it not wiser, cruel as it might be, for me not to even look at you? To look at those. If I want my choice to be effective, then I would say, all right, there are some nice guys there. I'll speak to them. Maybe I'll call them home for a cup of tea. But right now, let me focus on the two who are likely to make it. And maybe the one that I detest more is the one I want to effectively punish. And in order to punish him, the other one is better, not
Right.
this decent guy.
Right.
That's it. So it's not a fault with the voter. It's a fault with the design that we have created. So we have created this mechanism under this lovely label called democracy. We have created a mechanism that practically throws out anyone who would be straight, who would be honest, who would actually wish to contest from their own means, and then we allow only those who compromise in one way or the other to come in. Then we take their photo and we say, "Oh my God, all of them are dirty."
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
I really like. I think you're an idealist. I think so. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I find myself sort of gravitating towards your views because in a lot of ways, I'm also an idealist because the way I understand politics versus the way I see politics being understood by the masses right now, there is a stark difference between the two, right? Whereas I see politics as a tool to make a change, people see politics as a way to gain power and win elections, which is the essential sort of fight here, right? Do you think there is a way to reform this? Do you think there is a way that, like a Sunil ji can win? Is there a way that, like, good people who genuinely have sacrificed their lives to help people or do projects like what he did or done Samaj Seva can actually win?
We have to do something about it. Sunil cannot do anything to make sure that he got into parliament. He contested. Beyond that, what could we have done?
Correct.
We have to change. And one of the things we have to change is this thing of, oh, you are an idealist. Just tell me.
Okay.
Why is it that we use this expression only in this context? Do we say a mother who's looking after her child, she is an idealist mother? We don't say that. She's a normal mother.
Fair.
A mother who's sort of just making sure that her child is well fed, who bothers, रात को बच्चा नहीं सोया तो माँ भी नहीं सोती है. बाप को भी नहीं करना चाहिए, बाप को भी जागना चाहिए.
Correct.
But we don't say, oh my God, she's an idealist mother. Which is to say, हाँ है तो लेकिन मैं नहीं करूँगा. So the moment we say something an idealist, we don't say that, but when it comes to politics, suddenly we say he's an idealist. Incidentally, this is not how we looked at it 100 years ago. 100 years ago, yes, there were all kinds of, public life is full of scoundrels and also of madcaps. Politics, for some reason, also attracts all kinds of madcaps. Maybe people like you. But 100 years ago, you did not say, oh, these are idealists.
Right.
This description, but you are an idealist, is already a distancing mechanism.
Interesting.
And this is a way of telling myself, I don't need to be like him. And we Indians have this very lovely way. किसी की फोटो लगा लेते हैं अच्छे से और कांच उसके ऊपर जरूर लगाते हैं फोटो पे ताकि उसकी आंच मेरे तक ना आ जाए. कांच लगा के फिर अच्छी सी माला पहना देते हैं जिसका मतलब है इतना बड़ा आदमी थे, गांधी जी इतने महान थे, मेरे को थोड़ी होने की जरूरत है, वो तो इतने महान थे.
Keep them on a pedestal.
भगत सिंह पड़ोसी के घर में हो, मेरे घर में ना हो जाए कहीं पे. So one simple thing that we need to ensure, because politics is dirty, because politics is nothing, the dirt that we see in politics is nothing but accumulation of the dirt that we have inside us.
Right.
Nothing else.
Right.
It's our dirt that's being displayed there.
It's a reflection.
Because we have इसको छोटी-छोटी हमारे अंदर जितनी भी छोटी-छोटी dirt है ना, उसको इकट्ठा करके वहाँ पे कर दिया गया, and then we say, oh my God, it's dirty. उसमें हमारी अंदर की डर्ट है, मानने को तैयार नहीं है.
करेक्ट.
सो उस डर्ट का एक हिस्सा ये है आइडियलिस्ट. मैं नहीं करूँगा, है ना, क्योंकि इट्स सो लवली एसी कमरे के अंदर आराम से बैठ के टीवी पे कह करके अरे कितने गंदे हैं.
राइट.
यही वो गंदा आदमी है जिसको आपने कल अपने इनॉग्रेशन में बुलाया था. यही वो बंदा है जिसके लिए आप अपने बच्चे के बर्थडे पे आधा घंटा वेट करते हो कि वो आ नहीं रहा है. उसकी एक फोटो के लिए आप वेट करते हो. वो स्मगलर है, ठग है, बदमाश है, उसकी फोटो के बिना आपका काम नहीं चलता. पर टीवी पे बैठ के देख के अरे बहुत गंदे लोग हैं, कितना आसान है काम करना. हमारी गंदगी है जब हम उस स्मगलर और ठग के लिए आधा घंटा वेट करते हैं, जयमाला रोक देते हैं कि वो अभी आ जाए, नेताजी आ जाए, फिर उसके बाद उनके साथ वो होगी, है ना. This is what gets. So first thing is to realize that we need to change. Democracy changes when ordinary people change. And which is not to say everyone does not have to be Bhagat Singh. Everyone does not have to go out on the streets and to protest and do those things. The tiny, small things all of us can do.
Okay, I have two thoughts here. I absolutely agree with you about the idealism thing. Thank you for that insight, because it kind of changed a little bit how I think about this. But there are two thoughts here. One is, of course, we have to change, right? Which I guess would also require some sort of self-reflection. We have these problems, we need to think about these problems, we need to talk to each other about these problems and solve them, which I unfortunately think is not happening as much as it should. But the second thing which actually worries me is that it can also be top down, right? For example, I think we don't have leaders anymore. We have people who pander to the public. Essentially, they look at the most dirty aspects of the public, they pander to that need, and then they win. I feel like that is something that I have seen not just in BJP or anything, but across party lines, right? So isn't there like a way to have like a top-down approach? Like, for example, Bhagat Singh or like a Gandhi, he was a leader by their own right. They were giving ideas which legit changed how people think. Why don't we have any leaders anymore which are doing this top-down change? Is there like a shift that has happened?
I can't believe that Uparwala has started making some defective models, or he's not sending the models that needed to be sent. Maybe that Gandhi, that Ambedkar, that Martin Luther King, that Nelson Mandela, they are still somewhere around there. Maybe, it's probably either they are looking after cats and dogs, or maybe they've become recluse. Maybe they are just, maybe you and I don't look at them.
Right.
But yes, leaders make a difference. And the difference is this. A leader with some stage, a Gandhi, can make everyone 1 inch taller than they are.
Right.
There's dirt inside me. I know I want to do something this. But Gandhi is not in front of me, but his image is in front of me. Today, when I want to do anything, my father is not there, but he's there. I have to have a mental dialogue with him before and I know half the things I may wish to do. No, Daddy would not have approved of it. Out. Kishan Patnaik would not have approved of. He's not no more, but he's there. So all such people lift you 1 inch, make you taller than you are. And a Trump or a Modi can make you 1 inch smaller than you are. यार जब ये कर रहा है तो मैं क्यों नहीं कर सकता? तो ठीक है, मैं ही कौन सा संत हूँ? मैंने ही कौन सी कसम खाई है जब ये कर रहे हैं तो? So this is, of course, this is a huge impact of leadership. But please remember, leaders are not created in vacuum. It's not that some great Krishna arrives and so on. Leaders are produced in movements. Great movements produce great leaders. They get noticed. If there was a great movement in the 1980s, Sunil would have been as well known as in Nelson Mandela.
Correct.
I mean, I actually thought when I saw him in front and I read Gandhiji's stories, I thought this Sunil is taller than a Mahatma Gandhi. In the 30s, in their own 30s, he was definitely a taller person. But he's not a household name. Mahatma Gandhi is. And we should be grateful that Mahatma Gandhi is. But why is Sunil not known? Because there was no big movement. His goodness, his greatness was confined to a very small portions. So all those great leaders are there. And if you look around in this country, we still have so many role models. You have a Aruna Roy, you have a Medha Patkar, you have Harsh Mandar. I mean, I'm just rattling off names. And people wouldn't believe that there is a V.K. Tripathi an IIT professor who actually distributes pamphlets on Hindu-Muslim
Yes.
unity.
Yes.
And just spends his life doing that. You know, you wouldn't believe that such people exist in this world. They are there. The same Harsh Mandar, you know, give him a Nobel Prize and the whole world would say, of course we are so lucky in India to have someone like him. That's the only difference.
Yeah.
You know, why is Aruna Roy not the leading figure in this world for what she has done for democracy? So we're not short of people. So it's not that why don't we have leaders? No. The question is, why is it that the leaders that we do have, why is it that they are not in that arena that we call politics?
Correct.
And why is it that they are not respected, widely known, acknowledged by the society? So again, the question is on us, not on them. The trouble about politics is that we tend to push questions on the wrong end. Everything that should belong to my end, I try and push it to someone else's end. We should always say, what am I not doing?
Right.
Why is it that I do not notice those great leaders? Why is it that Devanuru Mahadev is not this country's best known intellectual? Because he writes in Kannada, because he happens to be a Dalit, because he doesn't follow the standard box of what a Dalit thinker should be like. But that's on us. So, you know, वो जो यूं हम उंगली उठाते हैं उसमें 3 उंगली हमारी तरफ आ जाती है, उसको नहीं देखते हैं.
Exactly. You have, I will end this with this question. You have worked with 2 people who I have followed, and I think I have seen different sort of transformations in them over the last decade, right? And it's interesting how there are different transformations. One is, of course, Arvind Kejriwal, who you worked with back then during the Anna Hazare movement, etc. I would see him as a leader. Back then, I was looking at him as a leader. I mean, along with even Anna Hazare to a certain extent. Again, that time was different. I'm not going into that. But you saw this man go into the whole electoral system and become someone who is, let's say, attracted to power. He is someone who is not that idealist leader anymore, but he's also become that pandering sort of personality. The second person is Rahul Gandhi, right? Now, you've been a part of Bharat Jodo Yatra as well. That's why I bring him up, where you see him. I feel like there was this deliberate campaign to sort of turn him into a pappu back then. But still, I thought he was not a leader. I thought he was very incompetent, at least as an observer. Now, after Bharat Jodo Yatra, I saw this transformation, and now I see him as someone who can actually lead. I at least, given his speeches or whatever else I've seen, I see some glimpse of leadership in him, in the way that I was talking about. Can you talk about these 2 personalities and why these transformations have happened?
We tend to give too much attention to personalities.
But they also work as examples.
Yeah, that's right. So they matter. I think people tend to think that I knew Arvind more than I actually knew.
Yeah.
I was not part of the Anna movement really, because I was not part of that core committee. I never joined the India Against Corruption. For many reasons. I never joined them. It's only when Aam Aadmi Party was formed that I joined. And I actually got to know, I mean, I had known Arvind 3-4 times before that, but very episodic meetings. So I actually got to know him only after Aam Aadmi Party was formed, or the process of making Aam Aadmi Party began. So I got to know him only then. He is a born leader. He is someone with an amazing focus. 100 things are happening. Arvind can pick up that one thing that requires attention. He has ability to, he is tenacious in a way that very few people are. He is, his capabilities, organizational capabilities, are of an extraordinary nature.
Okay.
So he is a leader. The one thing that he does not have is a moral bone in his body. And this I discovered very soon when I joined Aam Aadmi Party, and it horrified me because I had all these images of anti-corruption, this, that, and the
Correct.
other. And when I got to see him, and I heard those conversations in the room when I was actually part of that, I was astounded. I was horrified, and I thought this was a minor deviations because I was elder to him. Once or twice, I actually sat him down for a cup of tea and I said, Arvind, ये क्या कर रहे हो? ये अगर लोगों को बाहर पता लग गया कि ये तुम बात करते हो, लोग तो मतलब मर जाएंगे. और I thought this is a little phase because he was trying to get into politics, so maybe too much of this. And I said, no, this kind of thing doesn't get you success.
Would you describe that as ruthlessness?
Yes, ruthlessness as well. So in Arvind, there is, as I said, he is so completely focused. In fact, I used to wonder why is it that, because he does that sadhana, Vipassana.
Yes.
And I wondered because I actually saw absolutely no trace of any spiritual being in him. As I said, there is no spiritual or moral bone in Arvind's body. I can say I'm reasonably sure of what I'm speaking about because I know him so close.
Correct.
In action. I was not his buddy or personal friend, but I knew him in action. At no stage would Arvind allow this thought to cross his mind that this is wrong, that something is wrong, should not be done because it's wrong, is a thought that never crossed Arvind's mind.
That's very interesting.
So that was so everything, and in fact, then I connected. Okay, Vipassana can do different things for different people. For Arvind, possibly it washes away any guilt, any sense of moral unease, and he comes back completely pristine, clear like a knife.
Right.
Clean, and then can do what he wishes to do. So that's about Arvind. I'm sorry to see where he's reached, but I'm not surprised. Because when we were in Aam Aadmi Party, 2014, when Prashant ji had already made up his mind that this party was a hellhole, the party was morally degenerate, and he wanted to quit. And I was sort of tugging on his shirt to say, please, abhi nahi karna. And, you don't want to give a walkover to Amit Shah. We are in the midst of a battle. Please don't do that. We'll win it, and then we'll think about these things. Then Prashant Bhushan asked me one day, I clearly remember this was in his drawing room, and he said, Yogen, tell me one thing. Suppose we have a prime minister in our country who thinks that he's going to lose the next election unless he enters into a war with Pakistan. We are talking 2014, not 2019.
Right.
2014.
Right.
So he said, so a prime minister says, so suppose that prime minister is Modi. You think he will get into a war with Pakistan? I said, look, he may not. He would have no compunctions, but he's very clever. So he may pretend to create a war, but not quite a war.
Correct.
Which is actually something that happened.
Yeah.
And then Prashantji turned to me and suppose that Prime Minister is Arvind Kejriwal. I said, he will definitely get into a war. And then Prashant Bhushan turned to me and said, Yogen, what are we doing in this party? हम कर क्या रहे हैं? हम लोगों के लिए क्या जगह है? ये करने के लिए आए थे हम. So that I distinctly remember, and this is 2014. So everything that has happened in the party thereafter doesn't surprise me, but it pains me. It pains me that in the midst of a riot in the city of which you are a chief minister, you did not do anything.
Yeah,
he was not in charge of police. I would not hold him responsible for that. But as a chief minister, there are 100 other things you could have done. Or the least that, forget a chief minister, as a leader, you could go and stand with the victims.
Yeah, and you have like a giant party worker system. As you said, he was great at organizing.
Yeah.
Send the workers out to help people.
To stop the riots in your city.
Absolutely, 100%.
For me, that was the ultimate. So I didn't write him off the day he threw us out of the party and did all those Stalinist sort of stuff. That was okay. That's him. He saw me and Prashant as
inconvenient.
Inconvenient. And vis-a-vis me, he had a sense of strange fear. He was very uneasy. So I could understand what he had done. It's the day when he did that as a chief minister. That's when I do that. These are evil.
This
These
is
people
very
are
interesting
not.
because exactly why I'm using this example is because his transformation from point A to this point was, in my head as an observer, also kind of insane. Like, like when you look at it, like this leader you see. But then Rahul Gandhi, the other way around.
Just one thing, there was no transformation. As I said,
Fair.
he had no moral bone in his body.
Right.
And once you don't,
Right.
so if you need to create a movement to get all the decent people in order to get power, you do that. If you need to bring all the evil people, you do that. If you have to get the best of them together, you do that. If you have to get a few people killed, you do that. That's a kind of complete cynicism with which he operates. And I saw that in 2013-14.
Fair.
And that's what they did. But you had another
Yeah,
question.
just so if you look at the other personality, which is Rahul Gandhi. Now, I want you to sort of also describe him from where you saw him earlier to now, and you were a part of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which I think, in my eyes, is like his meditation, his vipassana, which was interesting to watch because I was watching it live. Like every day I would tune in and I would watch it live. I was one of those people who was like, this is a big thing that is happening in this country, which is this leader is walking from south to north and then from east to west, and people are gathering, and I just wanted to see him interact. I just wanted to see him talk. क्या बात कर रहे हैं, क्या change हो रहा है. And what I saw from the day one till day, like the end of the thing, is how the idea started building. Because his whole thing, and you also had said that on stage, that the idea is to listen. The idea is to just listen to people and come up with something that is a solution, right? Tell me how this also happened, which is a transformation in Rahul Gandhi. Again, I'm using him as an example because it would make things clearer.
In Rahul Gandhi, I know him more than people think I do, and I know him less than people think I do.
Sure.
I know him less because I'm not a personal buddy or friend. So if you ask me, what does he do in the evening? I don't know. Never asked. I don't care. But I've known him more because it's not only in Bharat Jodo Yatra. Actually, in 2007, 8, 9, I used to know him reasonably well. He had contact. I was an academic at that point, and he was searching for ideas. And he came and met me. And, interesting story, because I said, look, so he called me 2008, maybe it could be 7, 9 or whatever. He called me and said, I want to come and meet you, Professor. I said, yeah, whoever wants to meet me is welcome to lunch. We are at CSDS, Rajpur Road, and we sit down at lunch. So you come, I'll bring 2 extra chapatis for you. And which is not how he must have been used to. But he said, yes, of course, I'll turn up. Where is the place? You tell me, etc., etc. A day before that, he called me to say, I will come, but unfortunately, SPG will come with me.
Of course.
Is that all right? I said, of course, it's not all right. SPG in CSDS, what do you think you're doing? He said, can we in that case meet? I've found a little restaurant just slightly 500 meters away from your office. Would you walk up to that place? So it was decent. So we had this. So that's how it began. I must have met him some 15, 20 times then. So I knew him, knew his mind. And then once I joined Aam Aadmi Party, of course, there was no question of any meeting or whatever. And then I met him straight after Uttar Pradesh election, 2022, when I approached him and said, this is not, because situation looked completely bleak at that point.
Absolutely, yeah.
Farmers' movement had taken place. After that, BJP had won, and it looked, there was nothing. So I approached him, met him, but he was as warm, and we started speaking as if we had just left a conversation some 13 years ago, and no rancor, no bitterness. I had opposed him on stage, I had opposed him, his party, and so on. No bitterness or nothing. With Rahul, it's almost exactly the opposite. Arvind has, as I said, in terms of his organizational ability, focused in, and those kind of things, in complete grasp over things, grasp over multiple things that are happening. Incidentally, I also credit Amit Shah and Modi for that.
Yes.
Their ability to to manage, to grasp so many things that are happening and to manage it. It's an extraordinary thing.
Absolutely.
Done for good or for evil, that's a different matter. But I don't know if Rahul has those kinds of capacities. But one thing that struck me, when I first met Rahul, came back home, had a longish chat, and my wife asked me, so how would you rate him? I said, well, among the top quarter of the students that I've taught. He was very young at that point, and I was sort of, I've consistently maintained that he is smarter than people think he is. He's more sincere than any politician that I have met.
Okay.
And that's the bit people don't notice, so people think he's emerging as a smart politician, clever politician. The one thing that is normally not noticed about him, and this just because we were discussing Arvind earlier,
Correct.
is actually that he's basically a spiritual person.
Right.
People don't realize this about him.
Right.
They see him only as a political leader, of course, which is how they would, because that's the role he's playing. But he is a spiritual person, spiritual in multiple ways. Spiritual, of someone who says, okay, why do I exist? What is my role in this life? Where am I headed? And
Questions on morality, what is right,
deeply
wrong.
ask this question. Someone who's deeply concerned about what is right and wrong.
Correct.
I'll give you one example. I was walking with him and we were talking about people, his passion in life is about how people who produce with their hands are not valued. And I said, the world is divided into Kamera and Lotera. He said, Kamera is a very good word because it captures the essence of those who are working. But Lotera, there is violence in this word. Why do you wish to call them Lotera? I don't like this word. Now that gives you a sense of the person. This deep sense of, okay, people I am not with. But no, this word has violence in it. This word has hatred in it. I don't like it. So there is this sense of right and wrong. And yes, in the course of last 2-3 years, more than once I've seen him say things, jeete ya haare, galat cheezein nahi karenge, bas. Which is what a leader should have.
Exactly.
That's what leaders are meant to do. To say, here I draw the line, we shall not cross it, no matter what the consequences are. So, and also spiritual in a third sense of someone who actually dabbles in religion. I mean, he probably knows more about religion and Hindu religion than Amit Shah and Modi put together. He's actually most seriously concerned about religion in ways that people don't realize he is. So he is, in that sense, a spiritual, moral person trying to fit himself into the role that has been assigned to him, which is that of a political leader.
Yes.
It's not that he's uncomfortable with politics. With one part of politics, the way I described him, he is absolutely there. That this is repeatedly, he says, this is a civilizational battle that we are fighting and we shall win. Politics is only a means to fight a civilizational battle.
Correct.
In India, for thousands of years, we have this battle between one kind of a very narrow notion of what our civilization is and a more expansive notion of our civilization.
A cynical notion and
a liberal call it or whatever.
Yeah.
And he thinks that we are fighting that liberal, expansive, open definition of Indian civilization. And it's a civilizational battle, election, politics, all these are means for that thing. So he has that broader sense about these things, which is what makes it very, very important. So he's very much comfortable with that part of politics. But politics as involved in promoting someone, isko ticket dena hai, isko nahi dena hai, isko down karna hai, isko aage lana hai, these are things that he has this sense of distance about. Gandhi did not have a sense of distance about these things.
Right.
He would be involved in these things. So that's the plus and minus of the person that I know. But the one good thing about him that still connects to him is that, seen in terms of the onslaught that we have today. Today we have an onslaught on the foundational values of our republic. Democracy, secularism, and equality, socialism, justice, something of this kind. On all these three questions, Rahul Gandhi's inner convictions happened to coincide with the values of the Constitution.
Interesting.
And I would want some such person to be a leader in this country. Not someone who's strategizing to say, अच्छा आज सेकुलर हो जाएं तो ज़्यादा वोट मिलेंगे. कल अगर मुसलमानों को डस्टबिन में डाल दें तो शायद उससे ज़्यादा फायदा हो जाएगा. That kind of thing worries me. A leader must have some principles. A leader must have some sense of boundaries that we shall not cross. A leader must have some longer goal, which is above himself.
Like a long-term vision for society in
for
general.
society and so on,
Yeah.
which is more than my winning the next election.
Correct.
In that sense, Rahul has it all. But a leader must also be invested in how to organize things to reach there. That remains a challenge for him.
That I think is one of the things that even I find myself struggling to understand at this point of time. But I think you also know that. I think, one of the things that I've learned from this whole conversation that we had is I am still trying to sort of make sense of how good people can enter politics and actually win, because that is where the power transfer actually happens. Maybe one way to do that is to be bullheaded. One of the things that I've seen with Rahul Gandhi, for example, is that he's just bullheaded at this point of time. Like, he's just like, I have this principle, I'm going to say it again and again and again. I'll keep hitting it. I'll keep hitting it like the caste census.
Exactly.
Until I get my way.
Yeah.
Maybe that works. Maybe in this world, this is what is required now.
Well, you call it bullheadedness, you call it principles, you call it consistency, you call it integrity.
Right.
Again, I would say to anyone who's listening to these things, you don't need to be a Rahul Gandhi, you don't need to be a Kejriwal, you need to be yourself. But can we, in the world that we reside in, can we take a little principled stand and be prepared to pay a tiny cost for it? A colleague who's being bullied, can we say, no, that's not done? क्यों कर रहे हो? Just because she's a woman, just because he is a Muslim, just because he speaks a language that you don't know, is that done? These are things we can do. The trouble is that tiny things that we can do, we don't do that. And all those tiny little papa that we do by our silence, by our inactions, all those papas then accumulate. This is the dirt that keeps accumulating. And it is the dirt that then manifests itself at the peak of national power. And we say, oh, politics is dirty. You don't need to start cleaning it there. Start cleaning it inside. Politics can actually get much better.
At the end of this, I would like to say, it is that simple. Politics is not dirty. It is you. Yes. Thank you so much, Yogendra, for doing this. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation.
Enormously, yes.
Yeah, because you wanted to talk about this when I spoke to you.
Exactly. So I don't know whether these things sell, they get you any TRPs. I don't know. Honestly, I don't care.
I don't care either. That's why I'm doing this. It's okay. Even if
It's a meaningful conversation.
Absolutely.
And that's,
whoever watches, all good.
In a world full of meaningless conversations, one meaningful conversation is also good politics.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yogendra. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Thank you.